ফাঞ্জাদানের শিশে প্রাণ যে আমার মিশে রে, ওই ফাঞ্জাদানের শিশে প্রাণ যে আমার মিশে রে, প্রাণ যে আমার মিশে।
Faces of Bangladesh. Faces everywhere. There are more people to the square mile in Bangladesh than anywhere else on earth. Bangladesh means Bengal land, the land of the Bengalis, famous for Bengal tigers and Bengal lancers. It was once the rice basket of India. Most of the people are small farmers, growing mainly rice, the staple food of the country. It's a land of rivers. The rivers often overflow. Bangladesh lives in the shadow of disaster by flood. For Bangladesh lies across the delta of the mighty river Ganges. After the monsoon rains, its waters are often beyond control. Bangladesh, where the Ganges meets the sea, has much in common with Holland. Holland, too, lies on a delta, the delta of the Rhine, and is constantly threatened with inundation. So it's interesting to find another link between these two countries down here on this river in northern Bangladesh, a link in the form of a boat.
This boat has been given by a Dutch firm, Van Damen, in Holland, and the workers of this firm built the boat in their overtime and gave it for the work for the Salvation Army in Bangladesh.
The boat is operated jointly by the Salvation Army and the Save the Children Fund. It's called the Hope, and it brings just that. Hope to the villagers along the banks of the river Jamuna. These villages are very much cut off from the main towns and centers of administration. Although the Hope calls regularly, there's always much interest. And there's no doubt about the welcome. Don't cry, the Salvation Army is coming to look after you. And it's quite true. The team has come to give out food to the women and children of the village. It's milk with biscuits soaked in it, plus protein powder. Their normal diet tends to be very short on protein. These houses are new and important to the village. After the rains, the river often undermines its banks, breaking off great chunks of land, carrying away the houses as well as the crops. So a housemaking factory has been set up by the Salvation Army and the Save the Children Fund. The houses are made almost entirely from bamboo. After splitting, the strips are woven to make the walls. Finished walls are carried to the site in one piece. Bamboo poles provide the main supports, and empty biscuit tins make nice latrines. The workers are paid with food grown for this purpose in the village. It's called a food for work scheme. The houses can be dismantled if the river threatens them, moved to another site, and re-erected. More than 400 have been built in and around this village of Pulakandi. Still, there is need for more. The Hope is off to visit another village. The village is called Zigra, a little to the north, and this time they bring medical help. Once again, it's the children that they attend to first. At the end of the day, the Hope heads back to base. The lead leader of the Salvation Army's team in Bangladesh is Major Eva Den Hartog from Holland. She's as likely to arrive by boat as she is to drop out of the sky in a helicopter. But however she arrives, she can always be assured of a warm welcome. Wherever there's need or suffering, she can usually be found, doing something practical about it. Let's ask Major Eva what impresses her most in the course of her work here.
Well, I would say too many people, too many children, and we can only reach a few of them if we think of the millions who are dying of starvation and diseases. The biggest disaster in Bangladesh are floods, human floods. There is always a struggle for survival. It is really too difficult for me to put in words what I mean. But let me take you to the camp of Mirpur.
Every day, the Salvation Army vans go to one of the two camps at Mirpur. This one is for beggars and vagrants. All these people were begging on the streets until they were brought here. This morning, the first task is to give out food. The cards are stamped to make sure that they collect only one lot of rations each. The family dining room is a few square yards of vacant earth nearby. The Bangladesh winter may not seem cold to us, but when you're hungry and undernourished, it feels very cold. Sister Anya sees a lost child in the crowd. It takes time to discover that the child's mother has died. Her father is already dead, and there are no other relatives. It looks like a case for the Army's Children's Center. But already there's another problem. A woman has collapsed. She has cholera and is dangerously ill. But the problems are not confined to the Mirpur camp. As Major Eva said, there are too many people. Bangladesh is the most densely populated country in the world. There are children everywhere. Half the population is under the age of 15. And the Bengalis believe that the ideal age for girls to marry is between 12 and 15. They start bearing children immediately. If things don't change, the population will reach 150 million by 1995, in a land about the size of Scotland. However much they increase their food production, it will be more than offset by ever more mouths to feed. Mouths to feed. That's exactly what this crowd represents. They're waiting for food. We've left the capital, Dhaka, and moved to Jesod, a city in the southwestern district. This is another camp for homeless people, and here too the Salvation Army are giving out food. They feed 4,000 people on an average day. Not far away, there's another long queue. This time, it's for blankets. A thumbprint is a way of signing a receipt if you don't happen to be able to write. In Jessore, the army has renovated an old building. There's never a day when there are not hundreds of patients, men on one side and the women on the other. In this predominantly Muslim country, there are still women who hide their faces behind the burqa.
আপনার বাচ্চার নাম কি?
আজিদা।
আজিজা। থাকেন কোথায়?
ঢাকাতে।
আচ্ছা। এর বাপ কি কাজ করে? বয়স কত বাচ্চার?
As a result of his examination, Dr. Huck discovers that the child has kwashiorkor, a medical term for extreme malnutrition. He prescribes an iron injection. In the treatment room, a minor emergency. Salvationist Wim Canis from Holland stitches a wound in a boy's eyebrow. Outside, the under-5s clinic is underway. The hope is that if the survival of children until their 5th birthday can be assured, parents may be induced to practice family planning, leading to a reduction in the birth rate.
Mama, body, jai, mama, body.
Meanwhile, other mothers are being taught to read and write Bengali.
Chor, nine, mama, body, jai, mama, body, boro.
At the Children's Day Center, a different kind of problem is dealt with. Mothers leave their children here all day. The children are bathed immediately on arrival, as many come from appalling conditions. Some live in the streets with their parents because they have no home. Their physical condition is checked each time they come. After bathing and weighing, they're dressed in clothes provided by the center. At the end of the day, they'll be taken off again and kept for the next visit. If they kept them, they would be quickly ruined or perhaps sold. When you're very hungry, temptations are hard to resist. There she is, a princess for a day. Few of them get looked after so well at home, if they've got a home. But let's leave Jessore and take a plane back to Dhaka. At Tongi, a few miles north of the city, the Tedesom organization, with the help of the Salvation Army, runs a primary school for the children of the homeless. At the Salvation Army Children's Center in Dhaka, homeless children are cared for. All these children have been found wandering about, or their parents can no longer look after them. Little Rena was found abandoned near the railway station by a social worker. He traced her mother, who said she didn't want her. So she's been brought here in the hope that a family in Holland will adopt her.
আর ছেলে
ছম 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 তারি ছমকে চাঁদ নিকলায় অশ্রু বুঝায় চাঁদ নিকলায় অশ্রু বুঝায় ছম 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 ছম
Few people in Bangladesh can adopt children. Most have too many already and can't afford to feed those they have.
চাঁদ নিকলায় অশ্রু বুঝায়
যাইতে দিবে না ও কেমন আছি ভালো খুব ভালো নাম কি রিনা
Major Eva has brought some exciting news. A Dutch family has offered to adopt Rina and give her a home. Hashima is going to Holland too, and so is Hussein. Dutch families are taking all three of them, but no one will adopt a seriously handicapped child like Joy.
হে প্রভু তুমি আমাদিগকে যে খাদ্য দিয়াছ তাহা আশীর্বাদ করো আমাদিগকেও আশীর্বাদ করো আমেন
So for three of these children, it's the last meal that they'll eat in Bangladesh. Dhaka Airport, a day that will change three lives, thanks to families in Holland who have opened their homes to these children. But for too many, there is no escape. There is only the reality of Mirpur Bashtohara camp. 15,000 people live here. There's no single cause, no one particularly to blame. It's the result of the disasters to which Bangladesh is prone: floods, cyclones, war, and overpopulation. How can everyone find a job when there are 2 million more people every year? How do you feed 2 million more mouths every 12 months? Let's hear the stories of some of the families who live here. This family once lived in a village in Fadipur district. Father was a farmer, and he had a small holding like the vast majority of the people of Bangladesh. Life was quite good. You grew your own rice and dried it in the sun. You drew clean water from the well. There was enough to eat until a cyclone came. Flood destroyed the harvest and the seed for next year's planting. They were starving. They traveled on top of a train to Dhaka. But father couldn't find a job, and they squatted with others on the railway station. But you can't run a railway with squatters everywhere, and the authorities moved them to Mirpur camp. They built themselves this hut. In Dhaka, mother used to work as a domestic servant to help out. Now they're too far from the town, and she can do nothing to help feed their 7 children. Father is making a fishing net and will try and sell it for the price of some food. The father of this family was killed in the War of Independence in 1971. His widow has to walk 10 miles each night and morning to try and get work in Dhaka to feed her 4 children. This is their home. At first sight, you might think that this family has plenty to eat. Maybe they have. It's the last leftovers of a slaughtered cow. The portions no one else will eat. After it's been boiled for 12 hours or so, it may be just edible. Father was a laborer, but he lost his job and they couldn't pay the rent. It's hard to climb back once you're down and out. Now the whole family live in this small shack. Finally, let's look at this family. A widow. Her name is Hafiza Khotun. Her husband died 2 years ago of cholera. Her husband kept a profitable restaurant, but now she is the sole breadwinner for her family of 4. She has little to look forward to. Widows count for almost nothing in this society. Small wonder that when the Salvation Army arrive at the camp, there are a lot of people very pleased to see them. Major Eva, who was trained as a nurse, picks out the serious cases with the eye of an expert. This child is suffering from a lack of vitamin A. This causes the cornea of the eye to become cloudy, and if it is not treated in time, the result is permanent blindness.
Now here, there is no hope for this kid. What are we going to do? Giving it medicines that it will die tomorrow. Only lengthening the suffering of a child, where is no hope for the future for him.
Ari Denton is giving out tickets for vitamins.
Wat je, als je doe, kan je doen. Wat je, als je doe, kan je doen.
Inside the medical van, life is hectic. A spoonful of medicine, eye treatment for a mother, pills for a little boy, one straight in the mouth, and some to take home. Young and old alike come with their troubles. When you've got to deal with more than 1,000 patients in a morning, there's no time to hang about. Outside, they're still waiting. There's several hundred yet to be seen. The conditions in a camp like Mirpur breed disease. Open latrines, polluted water supplies, and undernourishment make the spread of disease almost inevitable. So it's good to find another housing project underway.
Now there will be hope for the people which you have just seen, because there are houses ready for them. As soon as they can move in, they can take care of their own family, because their work will be not far from here in Dhaka city.
The houses were designed by this young man. Magnificent help for the army in meeting the cost has come from a woman's magazine in Holland and a grant of $370,000 from the Canadian International Development Agency. The government have given their blessing and cooperation. These houses are not at Mirpur. They are just across the river from the center of Dhaka, so that those who come to live here should be able to find work nearby. But what a task to decide who shall be first to move here from the hovels of Mirpur. For Major Eva, it's a very difficult decision. Her choice is Hafiza, the widow with 4 children. But it's difficult when you've lived in a hovel so long to grasp the truth. That house is ours? Can it be true? There's one family that we've saved from squalor. But what about all the others for whom there are no homes? There are so many in need, and the resources from which they can be helped are so small. What about the families still living in these hovels? What about the starving people who line up for food every time it's offered? What about those without the strength to stand in a queue? What about those too weak even to brush away the flies? Some will struggle no more. But saddest of all are the dying children.
In all this immense suffering, I found myself speechless, and many questions came to my mind, such as, does God really care? Is there a living God? What future awaits millions of people in the third world? I have been often spiritually distressed, discouraged, and lonely with my questions and with my doubts. Now, discouragement can lead you to many questions. It kills your enthusiasm. It gives you the idea that it is not worthwhile for what you are working. It makes a man lose his confidence. Now, how to overcome my spiritual doubts in such a situation? This is the answer. Putting God right at the center of my life and giving Him its control. God is the answer. And He needs people who believe that He is able to use them.
Major Eva's way of putting God at the center of her life is to take food, medicine, and love to those that need them, day after day. The people are there waiting, for they know that the Salvation Army will not let them down.
ওই পাঞ্জা ডালের শীষে প্রাণ যে আমার মিশে রে প্রাণ যে আমার মিশে প্রতি ইঞ্চি জমি আমার পাঞ্জা ডালে খেলে জুয়ার শস্য ভুন্না বাংলার শস্য ভুন্না হবে বাংলার প্রাণেরই ভরসে প্রাণ যে আমার মিশে
How thankful are you? Do you really care? If you do, for God's sake, share.